Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're diving into a question that sounds simple at first, but wow, it opens up so much.
Mm.
How many songs is too many songs?
Right.
And look, this isn't really just about your music playlist, is it?
Not at all.
It's about memory itself, how our brains handle, well, just the sheer amount of information today and how that impacts us, in ways we might not even notice.
Mm.
And you, our listener, sent in these fantastic notes titled Invisible Weight, which really sparked this whole thing.
Yeah, those notes were incredibly insightful. And our mission today really is to unpack that whole idea of memory, this feeling of information overload, and that kind of hidden stress we all seem to carry around.
Yeah.
We're going to pull from, cognitive psychology, a bit of moral philosophy, digital culture, even how we see ourselves, our identity.
Sounds fascinating.
We'll start with the sort of psychological stuff, the cultural side, and then move towards the, let's say, philosophical and hopefully some practical takeaways too.
Okay, let's do it. So to get started, maybe we need a baseline, like how does memory actually work? Because that's key to this whole too much idea.
Absolutely. Fundamentally, researchers often talk about two main systems. There's your working memory.
Yeah.
Think of it as your brain's RAM, right? Very limited capacity. The classic idea is maybe 7 items, give or take a couple.
Like remembering a phone number just long enough to dial it.
Exactly like that. It's for temporary tasks. Your mental scratch pad.
Got it. And the other type.
That's long-term memory. And theoretically, its capacity is, well, vast. Almost unimaginably huge, like a giant library.
Okay, infinite library sounds good. So what's the catch?
The catch isn't storage, it's retrieval. Finding the book again. It really depends on how well you encoded the information in the first place.
Encoded, like how you learned it.
Yeah, and its relevance. Does it connect to stuff you already know? Did you repeat it? And critically, does it have an emotional tag? Emotional salience is huge.
Ah, so if it doesn't really mean anything to you or you didn't really pay attention.
It's like a book just shoved randomly onto a shelf in that giant library. Good luck finding it later.
That makes perfect sense.
Uh-huh.
So we can store tons, but managing it, that's different. Is there like a practical limit to what we can keep track of actively?
Well, that leads into some interesting ideas like Robin Dunbar's work, the British anthropologist.
Oh, Dunbar's number, right.
Exactly. His theory suggests we can comfortably maintain about 150 stable social relationships.
Only 150. Seems low somehow.
Well, stable relationships, people you actually know have some kind of ongoing connection with. Beyond that number, Dunbar argued, names start to blur, people kind of collapse into categories.
Like work people or college friends.
Precisely. You might know more names, but that active relational maintenance fades. And there's a really interesting parallel there to our question about songs or movies or anything.
How so?
Well, maybe when you have too many songs you kind of know, they become indistinct. They blur together, just like those relationships beyond Dunbar's number. You lose the specific connection.
Okay, wow. So back to the music then. Is there such a thing as too many songs? Biologically? Maybe not.
Biologically, your brain could probably store the melodies, yeah. No hard drive limit per se, but the retrievability, that's where it hits a wall.
Right.
You could technically know 5,000 songs, have heard them all, but recalling a specific one instantly, unless it's got that strong emotional tie, or you've put it in a mental category like, this is my workout playlist, this is 90s grunge.
Or that song from that one summer.
Exactly. Without that hook, emotional, contextual, categorical, it's just lost in the noise.
And this feels very relevant to now with streaming and everything.
Oh, absolutely. We kind of call it the Spotify era problem. You have infinite access.
Which sounds great.
It does, but it often leads to infinite forgetting. An album used to be this treasured thing, right? You buy it, listen, start to finish, learn the lyrics.
Yeah, you live with it.
Exactly. Now, it can feel disposable. We skim, we shuffle, we hit next. We don't always embed it deeply.
So more choice, less sticking power.
It can be. It's a paradox. More access might actually lead to shallower engagement, memory-wise.
And this must change how we expect memory to work, not just for music.
Totally. Expectations shift dramatically depending on the context. Think about your career.
Okay.
If you're a professional musician, a DJ, maybe a music critic, the expectation is really high.
Right. They need to know their stuff.
Yeah, thousands of songs, structures, who influenced whom. They might need to recall, oh, that chord progression, that's totally influenced by that obscure B-side from '89. That's a professional memory demand.
Okay, high stakes there. What about just, like, being a fan? A hobby?
The expectation is more moderate to high, but it depends, right? A huge fan might know albums inside out, lyrics, trivia. But it's usually less systematic. It's driven by passion.
More about personal connection.
Yeah.
Your favorite artists, songs that mean something to you.
Exactly. Your personal playlists, nostalgia trips. You love the band, you know the hits, maybe some deep cuts, but probably not every single technical detail unless you're really, really into it.
Makes sense. And the last one, the chore or obligation.
Yeah. Here, the expectation is maybe low in terms of genuine interest, but there's still this pressure.
Pressure. How?
Cultural or social pressure. You know that feeling? Someone plays a super famous song and you draw a blank and you get the look.
Oh, God, yes. The you don't know this song guilt trip.
That's it. You feel like you should know it, even if you don't particularly care for it. It's like basic cultural literacy almost.
Wow. Okay. So memory isn't just this neutral storage thing. It's tangled up with expectations, context, and maybe even morality. Is memory a moral skill? That sounds intense.
It's a really thought-provoking question, and yeah, the philosophical sources we looked at definitely go there. There's a strong argument in some frameworks that yes, memory can be seen as a moral skill.
How so?
Well, think about it. Remembering someone's name, their story, what matters to them, isn't that a sign of respect? Of responsibility?
Yeah, I guess it is. Forgetting can feel like you don't care.
Exactly. It also relates to continuity. Memory is what sustains our sense of identity, both for ourselves and in our relationships. And then there's this idea of curation.
Curation, like choosing what to remember.
Or perhaps what you allow yourself to forget. If you forget too much, especially important things, does it reflect a kind of disconnection? Apathy, maybe? In certain situations, maybe that could be seen as a failing, morally speaking.
But hang on, nobody can remember everything. That feels like an impossible standard.
And that's the crucial counterpoint. Grace has to exist. You're absolutely right. No one remembers everything. And maybe the intention to remember, the effort you put in, matters more than perfect recall.
Okay, I like that better. Intention over perfection.
Right. Plus, some thinkers frame memory as a kind of meta skill.
Meta skill.
Yeah, like attention or empathy. It's not just what you remember, but the act of remembering shapes other things. It helps form your taste, your expertise, your intuition, even your judgment.
Huh. So memory builds the lens through which you see the world.
In a way, yes. Think about it. Without memory, every song is just a novelty, right? It just sounds happening now.
Yeah.
With memory, each song connects to others, to feelings, to history. Each song has context.
Wow. That is a really powerful idea. Each song is context. And this whole too much thing, it's not just music, is it? It's everything. Media saturation.
Oh, it's everywhere. The stats are just mind-boggling. You mentioned some listen to 100,000 songs, watch a movie every single day for 100 years, try new food every day for a decade.
You still wouldn't experience it all.
That's
possible.
Exactly. And that sheer, overwhelming abundance forces us to filter. We have no choice.
So how do we filter? What are the strategies?
Broadly, seems like three main ways. One, we create these internal taxonomies, little mental filing systems.
Like this song feels like winter, or this is my getting work done music.
Exactly. We categorize instinctively. Two, we just let go. We swim in the stream, accept forgetfulness, enjoy the moment without needing to repaint it all, which can be quite liberating, actually.
So no stressful if you feel you should be remembering.
True. And the third way is intentional curation, making memory an art form, consciously choosing what to hold on to, what matters, and letting the rest wash away.
I like that. Memory is an art form, but then there are those social expectations again.
Always. We're generally expected to remember certain things, right? Names, birthdays, anniversaries, significant shared experiences.
Remember that time we...
Yeah. Forgetting those things can genuinely signal a lack of care, or at least be perceived that way. It can hurt people.
Definitely.
Contrast that with, say, remembering the plot of every movie you saw last year. Expectations are much looser there.
Mostly. Though sometimes even with media, in friend groups, there's that subtle pressure, isn't there, to keep up?
Yeah, that shared cultural memory.
Yeah.
Knowing the references, the memes, the latest show everyone's talking about, it's almost like social currency. Not knowing can feel like being left out.
Totally. My streaming queue feels less like fun choices and more like homework sometimes.
Oh.
And yeah, that pang when everyone gets a reference and I don't. It's real. Which brings us right back to your notes, listener. That stress of being perceived as forgetful or ignorant. Let's dig into those scenarios you shared, because I think everyone relates to these.
Let's do it.
Okay, scenario one. Work. You're in a meeting, juggling a million things. Someone asks you for a specific detail, like, what were the Q3 numbers for that project?
Yeah.
Right there, on the spot.
The pressure cooker.
Do you need to know instantly? Or is it okay to say, let me check and get back to you? What's the deal there?
It's such a common dilemma. Okay, let's look at it through a few lenses. Cognitively. In many high-pressure work cultures, speed of recall working memory access often gets mistaken for overall competence or deep knowledge.
So, quick answer, smart, even if it's slightly wrong.
Sometimes, yeah. The perception is that speed equals certainty. Now, socially, saying, I'll get back to you is often the wisest thing. It ensures accuracy.
Right. Better right than fast and wrong.
Logically, yes, but culturally. Delay can be read as doubt. Uncertainty, like, if they have to pause or look it up, maybe they don't really know their stuff, maybe they're unprepared.
That's tough.
And then digging deeper, philosophically or emotionally, the fear isn't just about being wrong, it's often about being judged for how fast you access the information.
The performance aspect again.
Exactly. We've somehow conflated actual knowledge with the performance of knowledge, the memory show. And ironically, that pressure can lead people to bluff, just to avoid looking slow or uncertain.
Which is way worse in the long run. Wow. Okay, scenario 2. Hobbies. You love a band, maybe a sports team. You consider yourself a fan.
Okay.
But then you meet someone else who's also a fan, and they know everything, every lyric, every player's stats from 1982, the drummer's side project, and suddenly you feel inadequate, like an imposter fan.
Ah, the fan off, yes.
Even though there's no rule book for being a fan. Why does that feel so bad?
Okay, cognitively, remember the difference between semantic memory, facts, stats, lyrics, and episodic or emotional memory?
Yeah, facts versus feelings.
Right. You can deeply love a band because of how their music made you feel during a certain time in your life, or how a team represents your hometown. That's valid. You don't need all the trivia for that emotional connection.
But socially?
Socially, in many fan cultures, knowledge is currency. Being the biggest fan, proving your dedication through detailed recall, becomes a status symbol.
So not knowing the details can feel like you're not qualified. We're not really part of the club.
Exactly. It can feel like you don't belong, even if you've loved them for years. Heck, even creators sometimes feel shame if they can't recall some obscure detail about their own work.
No way.
Yeah. And philosophically or emotionally, these moments sting because they hit our identity.
How so?
You think, being a fan of this is part of who I am. Then when your memory fails the test, it feels like that part of your identity is shaky. It makes you question, if I can't prove I know this inside out, do I still get to claim this identity? Do I still love it properly?
That's deep. Forgetting feels like a failure of identity.
Especially in a world where, theoretically, you could look up any fact instantly. Forgetting feels less excusable, almost like a moral failing, even in something meant for enjoyment.
Okay, wow, that hits home. And the third scenario, chores, responsibilities, adulting stuff.
Ah, the joys of functional knowledge.
Right. Not knowing how taxes work, or basic car maintenance, or like what an APR is. Stuff you feel you should know as a functional adult. There's this shame attached, isn't there, even though maybe nobody ever taught you?
Oh, absolutely. Cognitively, adult life is just navigating hundreds of these invisible systems. Taxes, insurance, healthcare, technology, home repair.
A lot.
No one learns all of it formally. Most is situational knowledge. You learn it when you have to. But we have these mental blueprints, these schemas, about what a competent adult is supposed to know. And when we have gaps, we judge ourselves harshly.
And others judge too sometimes.
Definitely. Socially, admitting I have no idea how to do my taxes, or my car is making a weird noise and I don't know why, can feel embarrassing. Functional ignorance often gets treated unfairly as laziness or immaturity.
Yeah, like you just haven't bothered to learn.
Right. There's very little space to just say, hey, I was never taught this, and that's okay. Can someone explain it?
So true. And the feeling behind it.
Philosophically, emotionally, these lapses can feel almost existential. Am I failing at being an adult? Am I going to mess something up badly because of this gap? The shame feels way bigger than the actual problem often is.
Why? Why so much shame?
Because we internalize this idea that there's a moral weight to not knowing these basic things. It feels like a character flaw, not just a skill gap.
So adding it all up,
Yeah.
these little moments at work, in hobbies, in daily life, it really can feel like walking on thin ice. So many chances to slip up, to violate some unspoken expectation just by being human and having limits.
That's a perfect way to put it, stepping on thin ice. That captures the cumulative effect, the psychological cost of modern life, this constant juggling act. performance, perception, memory, identity.
It's exhausting just thinking about it.
It is. And forgetting in this context becomes almost a social sin, even when it's perfectly normal, even in situations where learning should be encouraged. These micro failures build up, creating this chronic background hum of stress.
So what can we do? How do we reframe this?
Reframing is key. So instead of, ugh, I forgot something obvious, try. Okay, I'm human. This world is saturated with information. It's okay.
I like that. Give yourself a break.
Exactly. Instead of, I'm not a real fan because I didn't know that, try. I enjoy this in my own way, and that connection is what matters.
Focus on the feeling, not the facts.
Right. Instead of, I should already know how to do this, try. Okay, I don't know this yet. I'm learning it now, and that's progress.
Learning now counts. Yes.
And instead of worrying, they must think I'm incompetent because I paused. Try. I chose accuracy over just performing speed. That was the responsible choice.
Okay, those are genuinely helpful. Shifting the internal script. This whole discussion makes me think about our overall mental space, cognitive load. How many different buckets of mental energy do we even have? How much space does work take versus family versus just remembering stuff?
That's a great question. Tapping into cognitive load and attention allocation. There isn't like a fixed number of slots universally agreed upon, but we definitely have finite cognitive and emotional bandwidth. Think of it as a daily budget of mental energy.
Okay, a budget. I can picture that.
And based on the sources, we see common buckets where people allocate that budget. Things like work or school, obviously, family relationships, friendships, which can be different, self-care, sleep, exercise, downtime, household management chores, errands, logistics.
That's already a lot.
Oh, we're not done. Creative or intellectual interests, maybe spiritual or existential thought. Constant planning and scheduling, just staying aware of the world news, events, your own emotional processing, your inner world, romance or dating, managing your digital life emails, social media, and even memory maintenance itself, trying to keep track of it all.
Oh, wow. Okay, listing them out like that.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming. No wonder we feel stretched thin.
Exactly. And the key thing is, no one gives equal attention, equal budget to all of those all the time. Research suggests most people can actively juggle maybe 4 to 7 of those domains at any given time.
Now, only 4 to 7. What happens to the rest?
They get backgrounded, put on autopilot, outsourced if possible, or just neglected, dropped.
Right. You can't keep all the plates spinning indefinitely. Can we imagine how this looks for different lifestyles? Like if we had 100 units of mental energy, how might people spend it?
Yeah, let's try that. These are just sketches. Obviously, everyone's unique. But imagine, say, the workaholic professional, startup founder maybe, or someone climbing the corporate ladder.
Okay, lots of energy on work.
For sure. Maybe 50 units, 50% just on work and career. Then maybe 10% on planning and strategy, 10% on finances, maybe 10% squeezed in for relationships. The rest is negligible.
What are their traits? What are the risks?
Traits. Highly strategic, productive, maybe good under pressure. Risks. Obvious ones like burnout, but also relational strain, maybe neglecting their physical or emotional health. Things get fragmented.
Makes sense. Okay, who's next?
How about the family-oriented parent? Maybe someone whose primary focus is raising kids or managing a complex household.
Okay, different priorities.
Totally different allocation. Maybe 45% on family and kids, the direct care, the emotional labor, 15% on household management, logistics, meals, cleaning, 10% on providing emotional support to others in the family, maybe 10% on planning all that.
Traits and risks there.
Traits, incredibly detail-oriented, masters of multitasking, often highly emotionally attuned to others' needs. Risks, potential loss of their own identity outside the family role, maybe exhaustion, feeling taken for granted, possibly resentment if their own needs are constantly deferred.
Yeah, I can see that. And one more.
Let's do the creative explorer. An artist, a writer, a researcher, maybe just someone deeply invested in learning or introspection.
Where does their energy go?
Maybe 35% goes into their creative or intellectual work, that deep dive. Perhaps 20% into their own emotional or internal world processing, reflecting. Maybe 10% on self-care to support that.
And their profile.
Traits. Imaginative, introspective, comfortable with ambiguity, often nonlinear thinkers. Risks. Potential for practical neglect, forgetting bills, messy house, maybe inconsistency in other areas, difficulty with routines that feel stifling.
These sketches are really vivid.
Yeah.
What are the big takeaways from seeing it laid out like that?
Several key things jump out. First, memory is highly contextual and emotional. You're way more likely to notice and remember things related to your high priority buckets.
You remember what you're focused on.
Pretty much. Second, your executive functioning, the brain CEO, is constantly doing triage, deciding where to allocate that limited attention budget. It's an active, ongoing process.
Not a fixed pie chart.
Definitely not. Third, trying to keep too many domains active and high priority simultaneously just leads to cognitive fatigue, brain drain.
Oh.
Finally, and this is crucial, your lifestyle doesn't just affect what you remember, it affects what you even notice in the first place. Your focus dictates your reality, in a sense.
Wow. So understanding this, it means if you feel like you're dropping the ball somewhere, it might not be a character flaw at all.
Exactly. It's likely a consequence of bandwidth triage. Your brain is making choices based on perceived priorities, energy levels, and demands.
And modern life just keeps adding more demands, asking us to be experts in everything.
It asks us to be hyper-generalist. Be amazing at your job, be emotionally present, manage your money perfectly, stay fit, be politically informed, have cool hobbies, maintain relationships, respond to texts instantly.
Keep up with music.
Right. It's an impossible ideal for most people.
Wow.
We end up feeling overscheduled and underintegrated, like we're juggling too many roles that don't naturally fit together.
Which brings us back to that balance idea. If we had, say, 8 core categories, like the ones you listed, dividing our 100 units of energy equally would mean 12.5% per category. Is that even a realistic or healthy goal? Perfect balance.
It's a tidy mathematical ideal, isn't it? 12.5% everywhere, perfectly balanced life.
Sounds nice and neat.
On paper, maybe, but in the messy reality of human cognition and emotion, it's rarely sustainable and maybe not even desirable.
Well, why not? Why isn't perfect flat balance the goal?
Because our brains just don't work like that. They're triage units, not spreadsheets. Attention flows dynamically based on urgency, value, emotion, context. A whole bunch of factors are constantly shifting the balance.
So what throws off that neat 12.5%?
No, lots of things. Urgency distortion is a big one.
Maybe.
An urgent deadline, a sick child, a sudden crisis boom. That category sucks up way more than 12.5%, pulling energy from elsewhere.
Right.
Then there's passion or obsession.
Right. Sometimes you want to pour energy into something.
Exactly. You're launching a business, writing a book, falling in love. That domain might need 40% for a while, and that's okay, even healthy. Then there's the chronic noise of just daily life.
Emails, groceries, laundry.
Stuff that takes way more mental space than we account for. Also, shifting identities. Your priorities change dramatically when you become a parent, start a new career, become a caretaker. Certain categories just become dominant by necessity.
Life stages change the balance.
Completely. And finally, systemic pressure. Society often rewards overinvesting in work or productivity, while things like rest or deep emotional processing might be implicitly discouraged or undervalued.
So the world actively pushes us out of balance sometimes.
It definitely can.
Okay, so if flat 12.5% isn't the answer, what's a more realistic, maybe healthier way to think about managing our mental energy?
Think dynamic balance, not a perfectly still scale, but more like a mobile hanging from the ceiling.
Oh, I like that image. It moves, it shifts.
Exactly. It sways with the breezes of life, but the goal is that no one part gets so heavy it crashes the whole thing down, or so light it floats away disconnected. Another approach is weighted prioritization.
So consciously choosing an imbalance.
Yeah, intentionally saying, okay, for this season of life, work gets 35%, family gets 25%, health gets 15%. It's skewed, but it's a conscious, strategic skew based on your current values and needs.
Not just letting urgency dictate everything.
Right. And maybe most importantly, elasticity and rebalancing. The real skill isn't maintaining perfect balance, but the ability to notice when a domain is being critically neglected and having the flexibility to shift resources back to it before things break.
So noticing you've hit 0% on self-care for weeks and doing something about it.
Exactly. That flexibility, that capacity to rebound and reallocate is probably more sustainable and healthier than striving for some mythical static equilibrium.
Can we check in on our own budget?
Totally. A quick cognitive budget check-in can be super useful. Just ask yourself, which categories feel overdrawn right now? Where am I running on fumes? Which am I just autopiloting without real engagement? Which important ones am I neglecting and actually missing? And crucially, which ones feel forced on me and just drain my energy?
That turns it from a vague feeling of overwhelm into something more concrete, something you can potentially adjust.
Precisely. It becomes a tool for self-awareness and conscious choice, not just a reaction to demands.
Okay, this is helping reframe things a lot, but it leads to a big, maybe scary question. Given all this, the limits, the pressures, the impossibility of perfect balance, is failure just inevitable?
In a word, yes.
Oh, Okay, that's blunt.
But hang on, it's not meant to be defeatist. Think of it less as you are doomed to fail and more as failure is a built-in normal feature of being a limited human in a complex world.
A feature, not a bug.
Kinda. You will forget things. Your brain isn't a perfect recording device. You will burn out if you push too hard for too long. Energy isn't infinite. You will sometimes miscommunicate or disappoint. Others, relationships are messy. You will occasionally fall short of your own ideals. Morality is complex. And life will throw curveballs that derail your best laid plans. Chaos happens.
So trying to be completely flawless.
It's not only impossible, it's maybe inhuman. Striving for flawlessness in an imperfect world means you end up wearing a mask, performing perfection rather than actually living authentically as a human being, limitations and all.
Wow, okay. To be a flawless person in a flawed world is to become a mask, not a human. That's quite a statement.
It's a powerful reframe, isn't it?
It really is. So if failure is inevitable, part of the human package, and we're all carrying this invisible weight, how do we navigate that? How do we be more empathetic to ourselves first and then to others without just throwing up our hands and shirking responsibility altogether? That's the tension, right?
That is the central tension. And the research and philosophy we looked at offers some really good pointers for navigating it. It starts with mindset shifts.
Okay, like what?
First, try to replace blame with friction. Instead of immediately jumping to, I failed or they failed, ask, okay, what created friction in this situation?
Friction, like what got in the way?
Exactly. Was it fatigue, miscommunication, unclear expectations, lack of resources, bad timing? Looking for friction invites analysis and empathy, whereas blame just invites shame and defensiveness.
I like that. Less judgment, more curiosity.
Precisely. Second, assume effort, not malice, as a starting point. Most people are genuinely doing the best they can with the knowledge, skills, and energy they have in that moment.
That's a big assumption sometimes.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't mean ignoring impact or consequences. But starting with the assumption of good intent, or at least understandable struggle, rather than malice or laziness, changes everything. It contextualizes responsibility. If someone forgot your birthday, maybe it's not that they don't care. Maybe they're completely underwater with a sick parent or a work crisis. Compassion calibrates how we respond.
Okay. Assume good intent, or at least struggle. What else?
Third, create space for growth without fear. People avoid taking responsibility when the fear of punishment, shame, or judgment outweighs the potential for learning.
So how do we do that?
Empathetic accountability sounds less like you messed up and more like, okay, I see how this happened. The impact wasn't great. Let's talk about how we can move forward. What support do you need to do this differently next time? It holds people accountable for the future, not just punishing the past.
Focus on learning and repair.
Yes. And finally, reframe failure as signal, not sentence. A mistake or a moment of falling short isn't a final verdict on your character or competence. It's data. It's a signal.
A signal of what?
Maybe a signal that you're overloaded, or that you need a new skill, or that a system is broken, or that your expectations were unrealistic. It's a moment for recalibration, a test of humility, a chance to adjust and grow wiser. Not a life sentence of, I am a failure.
Signal, not sentence. That's really helpful. Are there practical things we can do?
Definitely. Things like journaling about mistakes without the shame filter, actually saying the words I forgot or I messed up directly instead of making excuses. Apologizing effectively, which includes acknowledging impact, having a plan for next time, checking in with someone to understand their perspective before judging their actions, and maybe just operating on an assumption of, say, 80% effort from others unless proven otherwise. Give people the benefit of the doubt.
Those are concrete actions.
Okay.
But, listening to all this, if everyone is dealing with this invisible weight, feeling overloaded, occasionally failing, why does it feel like nobody talks about it? You mentioned this in your notes, listener. It's like this huge, silent, shared struggle. Why is it so damn hard to be vulnerable about it? Is it just fear of complaining?
That's such a critical point. We're all in this boat, yet we rarely peek over the side to see everyone else rowing just as frantically, just as silently. And yes, the reasons we stay silent are powerful and deeply ingrained.
Like what? Why the silence?
One huge factor is the fear of being perceived as weak. So many cultures, especially professional ones, prize strength, competence, resilience, stoicism.
Keep calm and carry on.
Right. So admitting I'm overwhelmed, I'm struggling, I dropped the ball, can feel like admitting defeat. There's a real fear of being judged, overlooked for opportunities, or simply losing respect.
Yeah.
If I show the cracks, will they still trust me? Will they think I can't handle it?
It feels like a performance standard even for just coping.
It really does. Another reason is guilt about burdening others.
How does that work?
We look around, we sense that everyone is stressed, everyone is busy, so voicing our own struggles can feel selfish. Like, who am I to add my problems to their plate? They've got enough going on. It's a kind of misplaced consideration, maybe.
Don't want to be a burden. Yeah, I feel that.
Then there's the fear of being labeled a complainer. This is a big one. There's a fine line, socially, between healthy vulnerability and what gets perceived as whining, negativity, or excuse-making.
And people are afraid of crossing that line.
Terribly afraid. If I talk about how hard this is, well, they just think I'm looking for sympathy or trying to get out of doing my part. That fear silences a lot of genuine struggle.
Okay, weakness, burdening others, complaining. What else?
Well, frankly, communication is actually really hard. Seriously, naming complex feelings like overwhelm, burnout, or shame requires emotional literacy, which isn't taught systematically.
You need the words for it.
You need the words, you need the self-awareness to know what you're feeling, you need a safe space and a trusted listener, you need the right timing. And honestly, vulnerability takes energy, which is often the very thing you lack when you're overwhelmed.
It takes energy to admit you have no energy.
Wow, it's a cruel paradox. And finally, don't underestimate perfection culture and the highlight reel.
Social media.
Partly, but it's broader too. We constantly compare our messy, chaotic inner reality and backstage struggles to everyone else's curated public presentation and highlight reel.
Yeah, everyone looks like they have it together.
Right. So the thought becomes, why would I bring my real-life mess into this world that pretends messes don't exist? I'll just look like the only one who can't cope.
So many layers of reasons to keep quiet. It sounds almost impossible to break the silence. But you argue it's still important, right?
Absolutely critical, because every time someone does manage to be safely, appropriately vulnerable, it creates a tiny crack in that wall of silence.
It gives others permission.
Exactly. When someone says, wow, I'm really struggling to keep up lately, or yeah, I totally forgot that meeting, my brain is fried, it doesn't usually make others think less of them. More often, it makes others breathe a sigh of relief and think, oh, thank God, me too. It normalizes the struggle. It builds connection, not distance.
So how do we do it safely?
Yeah.
Without oversharing or complaining.
It's about finding that balance. Using I statements, I'm feeling overwhelmed, not this place is overwhelming. Framing it sometimes as an insight or observation, not just a raw emotional dump. Sharing in doses, testing the waters, offering reciprocity, being willing to listen as well as share. And, crucially, choosing safe people and safe contexts. Maybe it starts with a journal or one trusted friend or a therapist, not necessarily a post to all your social media contacts.
Small steps, safe spaces.
Exactly. Practice safe vulnerability. And maybe we can layer on just a few more insights about this invisible weight, building on what we've discussed.
Please, yeah. Let's go deeper.
Okay, first, the cognitive cost of masking. Remember we talked about performing competence?
Yeah, the memory show.
Well, pretending you're not overwhelmed when you are, that takes real mental energy. It's like running extra software in the background, constantly monitoring yourself, suppressing your real feelings, projecting an image of calm control.
Don't show the cracks. Smile.
Exactly. Psychologists call this emotional labor or masking, and it leads to something called ego depletion. It literally drains your willpower battery, making it harder to focus, make good decisions, or regulate your emotions later. So, ironically, the more you hide the weight, the heavier it effectively becomes because of the energy spent hiding it.
Oh, hiding it makes it heavier. Okay, what else?
Second, related to the silence, empathy fatigue and the mutual silencing effect. Because we sense that everyone else is maxed out, we hesitate to share our burdens, right?
You don't want to burden them.
But they sense we're maxed out, so they hesitate to share their burdens with us. It becomes this unspoken agreement, this game of emotional chicken where no one wants to burden the other, leading to a collective mutual silencing.
So we all protect each other into isolation.
Beautifully put, yes. And the sad part is the very thing you're withholding because you think it'll burden someone. It might be the exact thing they needed to hear to feel less alone. Oh, you feel that way too.
That's profound. Okay, number 3.
Shame is a silo builder. We talked about shame around forgetting or not knowing. Shame thrives in secrecy and isolation. It doesn't just make you feel bad. It actively builds walls.
Oh.
It creates these internal narratives. No one else struggles like this. If they knew, they'd judge me. I just need to handle this myself. Shame tells you you're uniquely flawed and alone in something that is actually a near universal human experience. It constructs elaborate systems to prevent you from reaching out or being vulnerable.
So shame literally keeps us locked in our own little weight silos.
Perfectly said. Fourth, we don't always know how to offload. Even if you get past the fear and shame, you might simply lack the tools or the language.
This is a skill you mentioned earlier.
Right. We aren't really taught how to articulate these complex internal states: overwhelm, cognitive load, emotional fatigue. It's not just about being honest. Effective emotional expression is a form of craftsmanship. It requires practice, nuance, finding the right words. Sometimes people stay silent simply because they don't know how to begin talking about it constructively.
Emotional expression as craftsmanship. I like that. Okay, fifth insight.
Perceived failure can loop back into identity. This is subtle but really damaging. It's a cycle.
Walk me through it.
Okay. You forget something important, maybe due to overload.
Hmm.
You feel bad, maybe ashamed. You judge yourself harshly. I'm so unreliable, stupid, lazy. You might withdraw or isolate to hide the failure. You then try to compensate by performing even harder, pushing yourself more. This leads to more overload and burnout, making future forgetting more likely. And the cycle reinforces the negative self-perception. See, I really am unreliable, not good enough.
Oh, wow. So the way we react to the initial slip actually creates a bigger problem and hammers our sense of self.
Exactly. It becomes the self-fulfilling prophecy where the response to forgetting distorts your identity. The key is interrupting that loop with self-compassion and a realistic assessment. I forgot because my brain was full, not because I'm fundamentally flawed.
Disrupt the loop. Got it.
Yeah.
Number 6.
We've inherited unrealistic expectations from a systemic source. It's crucial to remember that a lot of this pressure isn't just personal, it's baked into our modern systems.
How so?
Capitalism, productivity culture, hustle culture, the 24/7 connectivity demands. They all implicitly or explicitly push this ideal of hyper-efficiency, constant availability, total recall, limitless capacity. The image of the ideal modern human is often this mythical creature who can juggle everything flawlessly.
And an overextended myth.
Exactly. We're trying to live up to an inhuman standard set by systems, not by human biology or psychology. Recognizing this helps shift some frustration outwards. Maybe the question isn't just, why can't I handle this? But was anyone ever meant to handle this much, this fast, all the time?
That takes some of the personal blame off. Okay, and the last one.
Finally, drawing a clear line between responsibility and self-blame. They often get confused, but they're very different.
How are they different?
Responsibility is action-oriented and focused on growth. It sounds like, okay, I made a mistake here. What can I learn? How can I repair any harm? What will I do differently? It acknowledges impact and commits to future change. Self-blame, on the other hand, is emotion-driven, rooted in shame and often paralyzing, it sounds like. I messed up, therefore I am bad, broken, stupid. It focuses on condemning the self, not on learning or moving forward.
So we aim for compassionate responsibility.
That's the sweet spot, where empathy for our own limitations meets accountability for our actions and their impact. It's where growth happens without crushing self-judgment.
This has been, wow, an incredibly rich deep dive. It really brings it home, doesn't it? This feeling of carrying invisible weight isn't just you, listener. It seems to be the water we're all swimming in.
It truly seems that way. And maybe the most profound insight, the one that echoes through all these different threads, is just that. Almost everyone is silently juggling too much. We're often afraid to admit we dropped one ball, or even that juggling is hard, because the world seems to only applaud the flawless performance.
The perfect juggler.
Right. But the beautiful, liberating paradox is that the moment someone bravely, honestly admits they're human, that they're struggling, that they forgot, that they're tired, it doesn't usually cause judgment. It causes a collective exhale.
A sigh of relief. Oh, you too.
Exactly. It reminds us we're not alone in the struggle. It validates our own hidden burdens. It creates connection where silence built walls.
So the final thought for you, listener, as you mull this over.
Yeah.
Knowing that we all carry this invisible weight, knowing that perfect balance is probably a myth, how can you, in your own life, start to create just a little more space to acknowledge and honor your invisible weight, maybe without judgment? And perhaps by doing so, you might invite others around you to feel safe enough to do the same.
That's the question to carry forward. How do we make the invisible just a little more visible, a little more manageable, a little more human for ourselves and for each other?